lessons help shape our modern world.
Monday at 8 p.m. on KRWG TV.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, did this former NASA employee's Apollo collection skyrocket in value over the years?
I was in quality control. I tested everything.
So that's the serial number sticker.
Yes.
Off of the Apollo 11 command module.
Yes.
You realize that space nerds everywhere are going crazy right now.
Well, I hope so.
Find out next time on Antiques Roadshow from Palm Springs, California.
Monday at 7 p.m. on KRWG TV.
Next time on Finding Your Roots, hip-hop pioneers LL Cool J and Sean Combs both grew up without ancestral roots.
I never knew the extent of my history.
Now, Henry Louis Gates Jr. is about to remix their very identities.
Your ancestor was not a slave. He was free.
It's incredible.
You see any family resemblance? That's unbelievable.
On the next Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 9 p.m. on KRWG TV.
There's a lot of value in public media in that it brings us top-notch journalists who are giving us points of view about the world and about our country. And oftentimes they're things that we haven't even thought about and that we need to be thinking about. That's a hard one because my favorite radio programs are really broken into local and national. Locally, Fiesta with Emily Guerra every night during the week, and nationally, Terry Gross. I support KRWG because I want to hear both sides of issues. I want to know what's happening nationally and internationally, and I like to learn something new every day. If you're watching right now and you've never donated at KRWG, this is the time to do it. You obviously are enjoying and appreciating the programming that they bring to you.
The latest road conditions always online at krwg.org.
Local support for a portion of today's programming is provided by Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting NEWS22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Tonight on NEWS22, a fatal crash near Lordsburg involving Border Patrol agents.
A controversial sculpture is drawing attention on the NMSU campus.
And the NMSU Science Department is gearing up for a March for Science.
All that and more today on NEWS22 Thursday.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV NEWS22, where news matters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Whitley Newberry.
And I'm Albron Ramos. Interstate 10 near Lordsburg is open again after a deadly crash involving Border Patrol agents.
2 people were killed and 1 was airlifted to the University Medical Center in El Paso. According to KVIA El Paso Border Patrol spokesman Ramiro Cordero, agents were patrolling when they noticed 4 people getting into a vehicle. Agents tried to pull over the car, but the driver kept going as passengers tossed objects out the vehicle. During the chase, the car rolled over. The car reportedly tried to make a U-turn on I-10 at Highway 146 when the vehicle rolled over. No Border Patrol agents were injured. The identities of the people involved have not been released.
Several groups in Albuquerque are on high alert after immigration officers arrested people after leaving scheduled court hearings. As reported by the Albuquerque Journal, judges in town Albuquerque confirmed that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents waited in courtrooms or outside courthouses last week to take certain people into custody. Officials said they did not know the names of the arrested people. Civil rights groups and activists are others who want the courts to intervene, saying the threat of arrest and subsequent deportation will prevent people from reporting crimes or seeking help.
Actor Shia LaBeouf is turning off the live stream of his video camera in Albuquerque. On Saturday, LaBeouf and 2 other artists mounted a camera to a wall with the message "He will not divide us," referring to President Donald Trump. The artists encouraged people to go up to the camera and repeat the phrase. But today, LaBeouf stopped the live stream after gunshots were reported in the area. He said he's worried about the safety of those participating in the project. And in Santa Fe, the City Council has decided on a resolution so it can be immigrant friendly without using the controversial phrase sanctuary city. President Trump has threatened to withhold federal funding for sanctuary cities, so Santa Fe wanted to stay away from that term. The resolution states the city has the authority to preserve the confidentiality of residents' information, including immigration status. Supporters say it affirms the city's ideals of a welcoming community for immigrants and refugees.
While protests continue over the president's policies, artists are also getting in on the discussion.
Art students here at NMSU have made their feelings known with a sculpture they call Dump. The sculpture stands in an out-of-the-way alcove in D.W. Williams Hall, the University Art Gallery. It's the figure of a man about 8 feet tall with a shirt and lapel made of money. It has a red tie and tiny doll hands. The back of the figure is made of trash bags and garbage. The title in the front says Dump, but the most noticeable part of the sculpture is what is in place of the head.
I think it's spot on. I think that it represents pretty much what Donald Trump represents to the rest of us, at least as art students, but as much as possibly even the nation.
Disrespectful. Because I know a lot of people don't agree with what he has and what he won, but the thing is, he is still our president.
The sculpture is a ceramics project in Richard Hetzketh's class. The students always come up with a subject. He says it has caused a reaction.
I'm happy that people are responding to it because as an artist, you're always interested in having some reaction. Be it positive, be it negative, you want your work to have some kind of impact. And obviously, when you make a political statement, you want to have a conversation about the topic that you're addressing with the work.
The sculpture has been on display since Monday, and Professor Hetzketh says he's not afraid he will be forced to take it down. He says he's pleased and surprised with how it turned out. Hetzketh says the sculpture will be on display for about a month.
And stay tuned because Andres is next with a first look at weather.
If you were outside today, you sure felt that wind hitting your face. Professor Dave Dubois is a teacher here at New Mexico State as well as the state's climatologist. He says that the wind that has swept through the region is normal for this time of year. The entire state of New Mexico is under a red flag warning due to the low humidity, high winds, and dry conditions. Dubois warns that
come across these dust storms, and what they want you to do is to pull over and take your foot off the pedal so there's no brake light, and don't get off of the road and not stop in the middle of the road. That's the worst thing you can do, is to slow down and stop in the middle of the highway.
With all that helpful information, let's take a look at our current conditions that are right now in our area. We're looking at clear skies, temperatures at 59 degrees. Our winds are still pretty gusty outside with winds coming from the west at 20 miles per hour. Humidity is at a low 24%, dew point at 28 degrees, and our barometer sits at 29.56 inches. As for today, we saw a high of 66, which is right around average for this time of year. We woke up to freezing temperatures at 32 degrees, but back in the year 1996, we hit a high temperature of 77. Back in the year 1964, we were in the low teens at 16 degrees. We didn't see any rainfall on this windy day. Stay tuned. I'll be back with more weather for you guys, but right now, let's take it back to the folks on the desk.
Thanks, Andres. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson arrived in Mexico City Thursday for talks with top officials.
Tillerson is being joined in his Mexico trip by Homeland Security Chief John Kelly. They're meeting with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto and other officials. The talks come in growing tensions between the United States and Mexico following the inauguration of President Trump. Mexico has long expressed anger over Trump's pledge to build a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border and pressuring Mexico to pay for it. He wants answers on Trump's current and future measures on immigration.
We also reiterated our joint commitment to maintaining law and order along our shared border by stopping potential terrorists and dismantling the transnational criminal networks moving drugs and people into the United States. Although our two nations share a long history, our visit was forward-looking, focusing on common interests that would advance security and economic well-being.
The Trump administration is rescinding protections for transgender students in public schools.
So like I said, it's just really up to us as administrators and as teachers to just kind of say, you're telling us that it's okay to discriminate, but we're saying it's not. And in fact, courts have supported that it's not okay to do that.
The UCLA School of Law estimates about 150,000 young people ages 13 to 17 identify as transgender. The NMSU science community is coming together to protest their voice in the name of science.
As NEWS22's Javier Gutierrez tells us, the NMSU science community is hoping to reach and unite with the Las Cruces community.
The people united will never be divided.
Valentine's Day saw dozens of members of the NMSU community rally in opposition to the policies of President Trump. They called it Love Trump's Hate, and now scientists around the country are planning their own march, the March for Science.
We signed up sometime at the end of January. Some people signed up at the end of January. I signed up at the beginning of February, and we are still in the process of finalizing our program.
Hiranya Roy Chowdhury is a professor of human anatomy and has taken the lead in organizing the march here. He says President Trump's choice of Scott Pruitt to head the Environmental Protection Agency is proof the president doesn't listen to scientists.
That's where the danger lies, because almost all of his appointees are not really qualified to lead and to head those departments.
He hopes to connect with the Las Cruces community and wants everyone to dress the part and bring their own signs.
So people are encouraged to wear green that day. And we are also going to make placards, so we may have placard stations.
He says science has improved our lives and says the march is a way to stand up and make sure scientists are free to ask questions and find answers.
This is our greatest opportunity. I take it as a greatest opportunity because we see there is a lot of mobilization that is going on, and this is the time that we should be engaged.
The March for Science has a Facebook page and Twitter account. It's scheduled for Earth Day, April 22nd. Javier Gutierrez, NEWS22.
The plan is to start the march here on campus and walk all the way to the Plaza de las Cruces downtown. Republicans in the New Mexico House of Representatives have proposed a new tax increase. The plan would collect tax on online sales by out-of-state retailers with other cost-saving measures, such as construction project delays, temporary reductions in tax credit. Lawmakers are preparing for a House floor debate on the budget for the fiscal year starting in July.
With red and green chili being the face of the state of New Mexico, a legislative panel is supporting the idea to enhance license plates with chili peppers. Republican Brown and the House Transportation and Public Works Committee are all for the new license plates to recognize the popular chili peppers. The bill would require vehicle owners to pay an annual $35 for the license. Some of the funds would go to manufacturing costs, while most will go towards educational programs and the Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum. Stay tuned, Andres will be back with your national forecast.
And later, a Las Cruces man ends up with a large sum of cash. Find out why when NEWS22 continues.
At a recent KRWG coffee visit, we talked with KRWG fans about why they value public media.
And the opportunity for people to call in and share their views is really valuable and an important part of community building.
My entire time in Las Cruces, I have been a PBS NPR girl.
I want everybody to be able to hear all the programs that I enjoy.
The best in radio, television, and online programming is only possible with your support. Become a member online at krwg.org or call 1-888-922-5794. Thank you.
Critics are raving about Victoria.
You cannot lecture me.
The world will be watching. You are a queen.
I am not a piece of clay to be molded by any hand.
she will not be ruled. When you give your heart, it will be without hesitation.
Victoria, Sundays at 9/8 Central. Or watch the full season now, exclusively on Passport.
Welcome back. You're watching News 22.
Where news matters.
A judge has sentenced a Las Cruces man to 121 months in federal prison.
37-year-old Jesse Jesus Marquez will also have to undergo 5 years of supervised release for his conviction on narcotics trafficking charges. Marquez was one of 18 defendants indicted on October 2013 on methamphetamine trafficking charges. The indictment was the result of an 11-month multi-agency investigation led by the DEA that was designated as part of the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force.
Drinking and driving is no joke, but what a young Albuquerque woman did during a DWI field sobriety test is gaining national attention.
Instead of walking the line, she repeatedly did cartwheels, and it backfired. Jeannie Wynn reports.
Direction. Face that direction for me. With your whole body. We're not doing yoga. I don't know what you're doing. Put your hands down.
But Brielle Marshall turned a sobriety test into a chance to show off her yoga skills.
If you continue to do this, I'm going to take this as a refusal to this field sobriety test.
Police say Marshall was seen sleeping in her car near Zuni in Pennsylvania last Friday night. According to a criminal complaint, police say she reeked of alcohol, but she told the officer otherwise.
Have you consumed any alcoholic beverages today?
No, I'm
fine. None?
After having a hard time standing up straight, the officer tries to have her walk in a straight line. That proves to be a challenge as well.
Here, turn around and face me. Your whole body, face me. Okay. With your hand down, I don't know what you're doing.
What she ends up doing is a cartwheel, followed by another after the officer tries to show her what to do.
Okay, well, I'll demonstrate it for you. Right foot in front of your left, hands down at your sides, doing somersaults.
The officer gives her one more chance to walk in a straight line, also warning her not to do another cartwheel.
Do it, because you're going to hit me and I'm going to charge you with a battery.
He shows her one last time what she needs to do, but once again, she comes out unsuccessful.
When you get to that 9th step, you're going to take your rear foot out. Okay, we're done.
And is placed under arrest. Jeannie Nguyen, KRQE News 13.
The city of Las Cruces will be paying $400,000 to a man after he claimed police used excessive force against him. In December of 2014, Ross Flynn was accused of threatening a woman with a firearm over a parking dispute. He was later detained in a holding cell where he claims 2 police officers beat him and fractured his skull. The 2 officers were fired in May of 2015 and dismissed of any criminal charges. Flynn claimed his 4th, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment were violated when he was arrested by Las Cruces police. The city and Ross Flynn have been dealing with this lawsuit since it was filed in 2015. Andres is next with the weather.gov national forecast.
Thanks, guys. Let's take a look at our current conditions across the nation. Right now in El Paso, we're looking at 73 degrees, Albuquerque at 55. 55 as well in Las Vegas, 61 in Los Angeles, 54 in San Francisco, Seattle at 45, and on the East Coast, we're looking at Atlanta at 74, 74 as well in Jacksonville, and 62 in New York City. On our next map, we're going to take a look at some severe thunderstorms affecting the Midwest. We're going to take a look at this line right here, which is the cold front that is moving on in. It will be affecting cities such as Indianapolis, Lexington, Pittsburgh, and Detroit. We're expecting damaging winds as well as torrential downpours with this. The possibility of tornadoes may arise as well. If you live in this area, please take caution and stay off the roads. On our next map, we're going to take a look at that same storm system that will be moving on eastward. The cool front will be moving closer to the Atlantic coastline, affecting cities as well again as Pittsburgh, DC, and Raleigh. These winds, this storm system will produce flash flooding, as well as bring the possibility of some heavy snowfall in upstate New York. That is it for your national forecast. We're going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with your New Mexico temperatures.
Welcome to an exciting new season of New Scandinavian Cooking. the international cooking series that explores Scandinavian cuisine, culture, and history.
Thursday at 2:30 p.m. on KRWG.
Singer, dancer, activist, poet, and writer Maya Angelou takes us on an intimate journey through her life and our world.
While the caged bird sings of freedom.
She had the voice of God. Meet Maya Angelou. And still, I rise. On American Masters.
Friday at 9 p.m. on KRWG TV.
In their final night of great performances in Paris, New York City Ballet dances two Balanchine classics, Ravel's Sonatine and Bizet's Symphony in C. Hosted by Ballet Master-in-Chief Peter Martins. Expect to be dazzled when New York City Ballet Symphony in C comes to great performances.
Friday at 8 p.m. on KRWG TV.
Thank you for tuning back in. Let's take a look at our current temperatures across the beautiful state of New Mexico. Right now in Farmington, we're looking at 38 degrees, Gallup at 37, as well as Santa Fe. Albuquerque at 49, Clovis at 57, Socorro at 58, Ruidoso at 48, Roswell at 64, 57 in Deming, and 59 in Las Cruces. For our highs expected for tomorrow, starting up in Farmington, we're looking at 41 degrees, 43 in Gallup. Santa Fe is looking at chilly 38, Albuquerque at 50, Clovis at 57, Socorro at 61, Ruidoso at 46, Roswell at 65, and 60 in Deming and Las Cruces. Let's take a look at some cities nearby. Right now, for tonight in Alamogordo, we're looking at a low of 36 degrees with clear skies, breezy conditions as well for tonight, and a high temperature of 61 tomorrow with sunny skies. And up north in TRC, we're looking at a low temperature expected at 36 degrees, clear skies as well for tomorrow, and a high temperature expected at 62. Up in Silver City, we're looking at a chilly 21 degrees for tonight, clear skies as well, and sunny skies for tomorrow at a high expected at 52. And here in the City of the Crosses, we're looking at a very breezy day for breezy conditions for tonight, low right around freezing temperatures, and for tomorrow a high expected at 60. Stay tuned. I'll be back at the end of the newscast to take a look at your 5-day forecast with your weekend in view. But for right now, let's take it back to the folks on the desk.
Constables in Houston tased a man outside of a courthouse Wednesday. Investigators say the man was outside threatening to blow stuff up. That's the first story in today's Southwest Minute.
Authorities reportedly used a taser so they could take him into custody. They have not released the man's age or any information about him. He was taken in for a mental evaluation. Police say an officer suffered minor injuries after being dragged by a taxi cab in California Wednesday. The taxi driver was illegally parked. When the officer approached him, the taxi took off. The officer suffered scrapes and bruises. Police found the taxi in a lot about a mile and a half away and arrested the driver. They don't know why he did it. 2 teenage boys are in custody accused of shooting a 14-year-old girl in the head and stealing $55 and her iPad. Desiree Turner is in a medically induced coma and doctors say she is in the fight for her life right now. Police said the boys lured the girl saying they wanted to buy a knife but intended to kill her. A GoFundMe page has been set up to help with Desiree's medical expenses. For the Southwest Minute, I am Arlen Barraza.
So the NMSU baseball team has a series coming up this weekend.
Should be an exciting weekend. Find out from Tanya Barba, who is up next with sports.
Thanks, y'all. Coming up in sports, I'll tell y'all who got upside down honors and later a play of the day you don't want to miss. Don't change to ESPN just yet because NEWS22 Sports is next.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.
Where your grandma stay? This mad city and Paris all gather home. They probably got me down, brother, in the sun. Seem like the whole city going against me. Every time I'm in the street, I hear ja.
Saturday at 9 p.m. on KRWG TV.
Coming to you from Music Gone Public, legendary slide guitar player Roy Rogers.
I feel so lonesome.
With special guest Carlos Reyes, Grammy winner Charlie Musselwhite, and National Medal of Arts winner Ramblin' Jack Elliott.
Saturday at 11 p.m. on KRWG TV.
This is KRWG TV News 22 Sports.
Welcome back. I'm Tanya Barba, and let's swing into sports. The NM State baseball team returns home to Presley Askew Field to host St. Mary's University this weekend. The 4-game series will begin Friday evening with baseball bingo night at 6 p.m. featuring a doubleheader on Saturday with $1 ice cream, and then to wrap up the final match at noon on Sunday, where kids can run the bases post-game. The Aggies will roll out a rotation similar to opening weekend. Kyle Bradish and Matthew Mahue will switch starts on Saturday, as Bradish will take the mound to open the doubleheader. The Aggies return home after a tough loss against Texas Tech, in which they fell 16-1. And the New Mexico State men's basketball team is gearing up for their first home game in over 2 weeks. Tonight on ESPN3, the Aggies will be taking on the Utah Valley Wolverines at 7 o'clock inside the Pan American Center. In the last matchup between these two teams, the Aggies would be victorious with a score of 74-69. And this Saturday night, the Aggies will cap off the week with a matchup against the Seattle Redhawks. This game will also take place inside the Pan American Center. And a moment that was meant to honor a former hockey player goes wrong. The Fort Wayne Comets returned Colin Cholick's number 91 before Saturday's game against the team that he now coaches. The honorary banner was unveiled upside down. Still, the ceremony continued, with the banner elevated upside down all the way to the rafters. It was turned right side up for pictures and fixed during the first period intermission. And tonight's play of the day is brought to y'all by last night's Syracuse and Duke's face-off. Y'all enjoy.
Good defense. Kennard forces it. Leighton's got it with 5 seconds to go. They're going to pay attention to the clock. Gillen. Got it! Syracuse wins!
Are you serious? Oh, the right guy scored. He deserved it, that kid.
And that's all for sports tonight. Join us for more sports action next week. Still ahead on News 22, Andres will be back to take a look at your 5-day forecast. But first, someone just got the biggest break of their life. Find out why when News 22 returns.
On the next KRWG Music Spotlight. Local group Damn Union.
Saturday at 10 p.m. on KRWG TV.
On Masterpiece.
We must get married as soon as possible.
This is the moment to settle your title and allowance.
I think I would like my wedding dress to be white.
I'm sorry to say this may not be a popular match.
We cannot have Germans running the country!
Victoria on Masterpiece.
Sunday at 7 p.m. on KRWG TV.
I'm Rick Steves. Join me in Bulgaria, where we'll trace the country's complex history. From ancient Thracian tombs and medieval mountain monasteries to remote monuments to communism. And we'll also enjoy the contemporary culture found in its cities, from bustling Sofia to cosmopolitan Plovdiv to atmospheric Velika Tarnovo.
Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on KRWG TV.
Let's take a look at our top stories. A fatal crash near Lordsburg involving Border Patrol agents killed 2 people and injured 1. A controversial sculpture of President Trump is drawing lots of attention here on campus. And the NMSU Science Department is gearing up for an Earth Day March for Science.
The Super Test gas station in Lafayette, Indiana is the talk of the town after selling the winning Powerball ticket. The ticket is worth $435 million, the 7th largest jackpot in Powerball history. President Mike Phelps is happy for the ticket holder. If the winner chooses a lump sum, they will take home $263.5 million, or they can take the full amount in payments over the next 30 years before taxes.
I don't know about you guys, but I am sick of this wind.
I know, hopefully it gets a little bit warmer this next week.
It's been kind of nice these past few days, though, during the day.
Yeah, We still have another windy day ahead of us. As for tomorrow, we're going to hit a high of 60 degrees, low of 29. Beautiful weekend ahead, sunny skies, 63 and 64 for Saturday and Sunday. That's it.
And that's all for News 22 Thursday. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Tune in again next Tuesday for our next edition of News 22. Have a good weekend. I'm Whitley Newberry.
I'm Brian Ramos.
And I'm Andres Valle. Good night.
Good night.
Local support for a portion of today's programming is provided by Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting News 22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
On Masterpiece.
It is incumbent upon Your Majesty to nominate a regent.
Your queen is sick.
If the queen dies, are we to be ruled by a German?
May I ask where you stand on the matter of the regency?
I do not hunt, I shoot.
If I wish to bring railways or anything to the attention of the English people, then I shall do it myself.
This is the future!
Victoria on Masterpiece.
Sunday at 9 p.m. on KRWG TV.
I started taking them not as prescribed.
Opioids are generally not the first line of therapy.
They are narcotics. They're powerful pain relievers. Would you jump to that right off the bat?
Sign a drug contract. They have, urine testing.
The euphoric feeling was amazing.
It's time to take charge of your health care. I'm Dr. Peter Salgo. Join us this week for Second Opinion.
Sunday at 1:30 p.m. on KRWG TV.
Spy in the Wild continues with a look at bad behavior in the natural world. Youngsters are mischievous, but even they must abide by some rules. Spy creatures will witness these devious deeds, all from a whole new perspective.
Sunday at 11 p.m. on KRWG TV.
Support for KRWG comes from Presley Printing and Mailing, offering color printing, bulk mail services, and custom signs. Pricing and information at 523-1704.
This is KRWG Las Cruces, serving the entire region thanks to your support. Become a member anytime at krwg.org. Local programming on KRWG made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you. This is KRWG, TV, radio, online, news that matters. Next on Newsmakers, protests over the Trump administration's immigration policies lead to a traffic shutdown in Las Cruces. We'll hear from the protesters. Plus, a national bus tour designed to save the Affordable Care Act rolls into New Mexico. And later, part 2 of our conversation with the president of the Islamic Center of Las Cruces. Thanks for joining us on Newsmakers. I'm Fred Martino. Activists resisting the policies of President Donald Trump let their voices be heard loud and clear this past week in Las Cruces. The National Save My Care bus tour came to town. The bus tour is fighting to save the Affordable Care Act. More on that coming up. But first, the debate over immigration. The Trump administration announced plans to increase deportations. The policy will, quote, no longer exempt classes or categories of removable aliens from potential enforcement, end quote. That plan was released after immigration raids in southern New Mexico and across the country, raids that sparked a major protest in Las Cruces. In depth, here's Simon Thompson.
Here, no hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here.
Almost 50 people brandishing signs, beating drums and shouting protest songs shut down Main Street Las Cruces traffic for almost half an hour.
What side are you on, my brother?
That's Johanna Bencomo on the bullhorn. She's an organizer with Cafe, the group that coordinated the rally in protest of sweeping ICE raids locally.
Civil disobedience is just another tool in community organizing. When our demands are not heard or met, we will escalate. Today there was no arrest. We did not plan for any arrests, but we wanted to show our community that they don't stand alone and that we will do anything it takes to bring peace to this community.
Bencomo says though deportations were at record highs under the Obama administration, ICE enforcement prioritized deporting criminals over families. She says if these ICE priorities cease under the Trump administration, more immigrants will be living in fear.
It made me more scared.
Brandon Vasquez was brought to the US illegally as a child from Mexico, which has made him eligible for temporary status and relief from deportation through Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA. The order was enacted during the Obama administration, but only days before I spoke to Vasquez, a DACA recipient was detained by ICE in Seattle.
I feel like I'm still illegal, like I don't have documents. I feel like I'm still a target to be deported even if I have my DACA permit.
Is it scary or is it like?
Yeah, it's scary. I feel like any type of reason would be enough to deport me. So I feel like I'm just walking on glass.
Bencomo says shutting down peak hour traffic is just a taste of the civil disobedience that could be needed to push elected officials to protect Las Cruces communities from expanded ICE enforcement.
In the Trump era, our communities will have to do drastic measures for change. We know that all resistance to his oppressive policies against our people, that resistance will be localized. We will have to mobilize and organize here locally to try to stop those kinds of things from happening.
Local organising and rallies are also working to oppose the repeal of the Affordable Care Act.
My concern is losing the health care that I have.
Las Cruces Barbara Alvarez suffers from chronic asthma. She has to take a number of different medications, treatments, and sometimes requires medical attention.
About 6 weeks ago, I had a sinus infection and other conditions related to my allergies. I ended up in urgent care and needed to have several medications.
As a professional writer working freelance, Alvarez has only been able to get medical care since the Affordable Care Act came into effect.
If I did not have insurance coverage, I would not have been able to receive the medical care that I needed.
Alvarez is just one of more than 260,000 New Mexicans that, according to the Urban Institute, could lose their health care if the Affordable Care Act is repealed by Congress. A Save My Care bus made a stop in Las Cruces on a national tour to rally up support against repealing the Affordable Care Act.
We're going into cities where you will see a really devastating impact.
That's Anthony Hayes, the bus trip's director.
The goal of the bus tour is to go into towns across the country and raise up local voices so that when members of Congress come home to their districts, they see in their local newspapers, on their local news station, constituents who voted for them describing how devastating it would be if they repealed the ACA. We really want to raise these voices up above the national rhetoric.
I asked Barbara Alvarez what she would do if the Affordable Care Act was repealed without a replacement.
Pray that I don't die.
According to the Urban Institute, Alvarez would just be one of almost 20 million Americans that could become uninsured if the Affordable Care Act is repealed. For KRWG, I'm Simon Thompson.
And Simon Thompson joins us now in studio. Simon, we'll start with healthcare. This is really a difficult situation for Republicans who have promised to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, because if you look at the results, this law has actually cut the population who are uninsured almost in half.
Almost in half. So if you look at the data, in 2010, it was about, uninsured rate was about 16%. And then if you look at 2016, just last year, it went down to 8.6%, so massive impact.
A huge impact, and you had the personal impact of that, talking to folks at that bus tour that's gone all around the country. I know a recent study by the Commonwealth Fund also looked at some other impacts in terms of the ACA, the effect repealing it could have on individual states, including New Mexico.
So there's also the economic impact, which isn't as urgent or as scary as somebody losing their coverage, but for New Mexico, that's 19,000